Okay, so we are back. Oh, I'm back.
You're back.
I'm joined by
Pete.
And
Hello.
you got the cue. I'm now seeing who gets the cue of I'm joined by. We are going to be doing the White Scars review. I suppose it's a rundown review.
Yeah.
Our opinion.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the White Scars review. Pete, do you want to go through... Well, you've seen these other reviews, haven't you? You know the order.
Yeah.
So let's go over the White Scars Legion rule. Swift of action.
Okay, so on paper and from like a lot of teasing leading up to this, I think a lot of people were saying, oh yeah, you haven't really got much of a good Legion trait. And it wasn't even in the Warhammer community article. It's just +1 movement on the face of it.
Yeah.
But please keep on reading the sentence and read the rules.
Yeah, so it's whenever called upon to roll to determine which player takes the first turn, or to seize the initiative,
Yeah.
the controlling player of an army whose primary detachment... Basically, the White Scars player may roll an additional dice and discard the lowest rolled before determining the result.
Yeah, which is massive. It's supposed to give the idea that you're getting the jump on your opponent, either from setting up and going first, although you can get seized, which has happened to me.
By going first.
By setting up first and then someone seizes on you. Alternatively, it's about letting them set up first and then getting 2 chances of rolling 6s.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the previous edition, I think that you could get it down to that you were re-rolling the Seize the Initiative, and I think it was about a 5-up, or even some cases in some events, getting like a 4-up re-rollable Seize the Initiative with White Scars, which was insane, but now it's just 2 chances of getting 6s.
So that +1 movement is big because it pips you in... Although it's +1 in the movement phase, which is good, it puts your basic troops on foot, at least, into the +1 to charge as well.
It is, yeah.
So it will put your jump pack troops into the +1. It's really big on those charges.
Yeah.
So even though it's not any direct buff to the combat, it's good for getting that charge.
Yeah.
And I suppose can massively help versus legions like Blood Angels or Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
That can really rely on the charge.
Hi, Henry.
So we'll see you in edition 3. So he's also good, I suppose, because everyone worked out, I suppose, before the game even came out. Oh yeah, you can actually do first turn charges into, what is it, like 6 inches into your enemy's deployment zone with this?
If you're doing, like, Dawn of War, yes.
Yeah, so if you get a good roll, well, if Dawn of War, like, 24 inches apart, missions where you deploy differently, like, what is it, ambush, you're only 9 inches apart, so you can get right through the deployment zone.
Nobody plays ambush.
Yeah, who plays ambush? But they're really fluffy players, Pete. So yeah, let's go on to the advanced reaction.
Yeah.
Because we're going to try and keep this more concise.
Yeah. So the advanced reaction, also nicknamed the Fairy Dance. Hi, Rich. By
is this just a shout out one? Is that why you have agreed to do this, just so you can shout out all your friends?
Well, it looks like a few other places they do a lot of shout outs to things. So I thought, I'd come on and say hi. I've got friends. I haven't really. So the advanced reaction, chasing the wind, catch the Khan, which I should have a T-shirt made for that after the amount of games I've played and used this with. So it's really good that effectively it gives you an extra movement phase within the game. So,
tell us.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it works. So someone moves within 12 inches of one of your White Scars units, and at that point, every White Scars unit within 12 inches of that unit that's moved within can now make a full movement.
So it's not 12 inches of your unit, it's 12 inches of their unit.
No, so anything within 12 inches of their unit that is mine, or White Scars, can then make a full movement.
If you've got a jet bike and it's, 14-inch move for a jet bike, 16-inch move?
17 inches.
17-inch because you've got the +1. Yeah, can make a 17-inch move.
Yeah. Someone moves within 12 inches, and if I've got the army bunched up or something like that they're looking to charge, my army just disappears.
Scatters,
Yeah. Or alternatively, as I've also been able to pull off, if I'm over one side of the board edge, someone moves within 12 of me there, and I want to get to the other side of the board edge, and I'm slowly making my way across, getting that move.
Or just simply reposition your entire army. Yeah, that is the advanced reaction. It's really good. Having played against it twice.
Yeah.
Really annoying. to play.
And that's when I hadn't really played that. They were my first two games, so...
Demonstrating that White Scars were in fact not lost to everyone.
Yeah.
So we've got Warlord Traits. Heroes Never Die.
Okay, so going through each of these. The first one, Heroes Never Die. I haven't had a chance to run this one yet, but basically with that one...
You gain Stubborn.
Stubborn, and when your Warlord dies, everyone that could have seen him die gets Fearless.
So that means you can, like, throw him away.
Yeah.
Almost, and that gains such a massive buff to your entire army. You might not be able to use Evade anymore, but Fearless in this edition.
Yeah.
Especially because it doesn't specify that it's jet bikes, which jet bikes already ignore pinning. But
so where this ideally comes into it is taking this one with Sagyar Mazan Rite of War, because that Rite of War, you are effectively a suicide squad in that one. You are trying to repent, so if that happens, you do get Fearless on the first round of combat, but it just gives you even more, and you get an additional reaction in the assault phase.
Right.
Born in the Saddle, this is akin to what we used to get in version 1, which was buffs against dangerous terrain. So you've got a 4-up invulnerable save for doing dangerous terrain tests. You also get an additional reaction in the movement phase.
Which I don't think that's very good. Like, it's good in that it might save you a little bit, but compared to, say, Heroes Never Die...
It's the vanilla Warlord trait. It's the one that people, and the one that I picked to start off with going first, because it gives the jet bikes a bit of a buff.
Compared to Fearless on your entire army if he's removed, and Stubborn on your Warlord at all times.
Yeah.
Just don't put yourself in the dangerous terrain, because you still got a 50-50 chance to die. And Fearless is such a massive buff, I would go with, personally, Heroes Never Die. And Heroes Never Die is such a better name.
I know. And the final one, it's very... it's a corner case within a corner case, so taking Traitor White Scars, which is a thing, but it's only when they're allied with... it's only when they get allied with Sons of Horus do they get the ability to use Death Dealer, Advanced Reaction.
And you don't expend a point from the controlling player's reaction allotment.
Yeah.
Now, you still get to use your own Advanced Reaction. But that is really good, because that's a really powerful advanced reaction. And having access to 2 advanced reactions in a game is incredibly good. So, yeah, really good. We get to the Rites of War. So you've got Chog Bros, which is taking Sky Hunters and Outriders.
As troops and elites, and if they're taken as troops, they get line.
Yeah, and your infantry types get outflank.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Your bikes and your Sky Hunters get line. Massive. So that's a really important one for actually, as this edition, as people are finding it out, and as definitely as we are talking, as a bunch of people in the Northwest, the amount of stuff that hasn't got line and the...
Well, especially on the traitor side,
yeah,
the amount of units that don't have the line subtype from the Rite of War is really big, whereas it seems a lot more of the loyalist. I know this can be taken loyalist or traitor, but a lot more of the loyalist Rites of War have line included in them.
It means that you can also spam as many jet bikes and outriders in the list as possible, because apparently that's bad.
At this point, we've gone through your Legion trait. Chog Bros is the jet bike Rite of War.
Yeah.
What do you currently think of jet bikes playing them in a White Scars army with your advanced reaction and Chog Bros?
Oh, they're terrible. The internet tells me so. They're not no longer...
What do you actually think?
So where people think that they're bad, same with Outriders, that they lost their toughness blip.
Yeah.
And they're no longer 2-up, they're 3-up save, but they got 2 wounds. Or instead of 1 in 3 taking a special weapon or heavy weapon, now all of them can take heavy weapons.
Yeah.
They've lost the Melter Bomb Suicide Squad ability, which, because Multi-Melter got such a buff in this edition,
Yeah, it's not as much of a thing when your entire squad can just have multi-melters.
Yeah, exactly.
And that gains utility of being able to double out Terminators from far away.
Yeah. You can't turbo boost 24 inches within the turn, but you can move 17 and then run 4, so you've got 21-inch move.
Yeah.
There's no jink of a 3-up silly cover save, but it felt like they were moving fast-moving Terminators, having the cover save instead of an invulnerable save in the last edition. They were too powerful, but from so my experience of them in this edition, yes, they are a little bit more fragile, but if you play the movement phase right, you haven't got a problem. And that goes for both
Is that keeping out of people's weapons range?
Yeah, a heavy bolter as a standard, you've got 36-inch range. A bolter is a 24-inch range. Don't run in. Be a bit smarter. Play a bit like you are a glass cannon rather than a Terminator.
Yeah.
Play to the advantage of what White Scars are good at, their movement phase.
And pull off some Parthenon shots, essentially.
Yeah.
With your heavy bolters, your multi-melters, things like that.
If you are going to get within close range, make sure that you're doing it with enough units that you focus fire. And then make sure that then you've got the ability to use your advanced reaction, if that's when you want to use it the next turn, to get out of dodge when someone moves. If someone's smart enough and doesn't move, then you just have to take the hit.
That's basically
risk versus reward.
The thoughts of Chog Bros is your run down there of jet bikes, because whether or not you want to take jet bikes in Scars largely comes down to are you running Chog Bros or not.
Yeah. I've always.
You might have a couple of extra units, but that's the main rundown of Chog Bros is what a jet bike's like.
Yeah, and the same way, people have said, the Outriders are not as great anymore. Yeah, they're not, but I still think Plasma Outriders are brilliant. They've got the outflank by default, so they can come on outflank in action like what we did when we played. And equally, if you're playing something like Dominion and you've got first turn, get onto those objectives straight away. Yeah. 12-inch scout move, 15-inch move after that. Yeah, you're not charging, but it's getting you up the field to take the objectives, because 5 out of 6 missions are objectives.
Yeah.
And you get up on the points of that, and then it puts your opponent on
the back foot from the start. Yeah,
they're having to play catch up at that point. Just to finish off with Chagorian Brotherhood, all foot sloggers get.
I said this before. They gain outflank.
They gain outflank, which means that if they've got dedicated transports, they also get outflank. Means, unlike version 1, you can start in your transports like a Land Raider, which you didn't used to be able to do, on the table.
Yeah. Did they have to be off the table?
Anything hull point 4 or above had to start off the table in version 1. It also means that the limitation is that your heavy supports, you don't get any except for any that have got the flyer, and currently there are 3: Fire Raptor, Charybdis, and
Cestus?
The assault ram. Other than that, you can't take any heavy, so no heavy support squads.
Which isn't a super massive drawback for Chog Bros. Like a lot of people were in version 1 using their Sky Slayers, Fire Raptors, things like that. So Sky Slayers have been merged into jet bike squads, and take Sagyar Mazan if you want to take a Leviathan Dreadnought.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So Sagyar Mazan.
Okay.
You gain Ebon Keshigs as troops.
Yeah. Not line.
Not line troops, All units composed entirely of infantry must be given both the Crash special rule and Feel No Pain 5+ special rules.
Yeah.
Legion of Astartes White Scar units using this right of war gain Fearless in any assault in which they make a successful charge.
Yeah.
Now, that is a really big buff. It allows you to tie up a unit in their movement phase. Mm-hmm. Why you would massively use units to charge in your turn that aren't going to win that assault, I don't massively know.
So the Crash rule means that you do not give up a victory point for being killed.
Right, but still, if my tactic was to delay you, I as an Iron Warriors player, line up in front of the person an inch away. I've still delayed you, but you've only got 1 round of assault out of it rather than 2.
Yeah, this one, even in the last edition, this was not even a White Scar right of war in my mind. You had to take a allied detachment because it had to be the Shattered Legion sort of right of war. So I never played it, but in this edition they've made it specifically that it is White Scars.
I think it fit. Like, it's just because they were White Scars detachments on a Death Wish mission.
Yeah,
doesn't mean that it shouldn't be White Scars. I think basically this right of war, I think it's very good with the no victory points given up for Crash. I think the 5+ special Feel No Pain, very good, because it means that all your reactions in the enemy shooting phase don't need to be you don't ever need to evade on your infantry. You've always got that 5+.
You don't have to pay for apothecaries.
Yeah. So it saves you all of that. The lack of victory points means that you can take lots of tactical squads are very cheap, 100 points each.
Yeah.
You can have lots of tactical squads. And although you've not got the movement benefits of a jetbike army in Chog Bros, you can control your opponent's movement by having these disposable units that aren't going to give away victory points.
Yeah.
And they still score.
It used to be that you couldn't score. Now you can still score on objectives for having it. Karash also means that you can't allow other non-Karash units to join it, but being that all the infantry gets it, you
Preator will gain Karash to join the squad he wants to.
Yeah. So the restrictions with this army is that you can't take anything like outflanking, deep striking, or anything, underground assault, whatever they call it. It's all got to start on the table, going at the enemy. The other one is that with heavy supports, it can only be infantry, so it's heavy support squads. So I think that you could spam lots of infantry. You could still take sabers or javelins or jet bikes in your fast attacks. You still get some of that, and transports to get some armor. I think I'm looking forward to having a bit of play with this one because I don't just have jet bikes in my collection.
You don't? I think it's a good change to the Rite of War.
Yeah.
Like compared to how it was before, where as you say it had to be Shattered Legions. It makes it actual usable to White Scars players. I think it fits in. You can use this for a traitor.
Yeah.
As well.
It used to be that it was only loyalist.
Yeah.
But
so you can use this in a traitor Rite of War and pair it up, as we said, with Forgotten Sons.
Yeah.
Is a thing.
Yeah.
I suppose like gaining the Death Dealer Rite of War, Sons of Horus Allied Detachment, along with the Sagyar Mazan.
Yeah.
And gaining Death Dealer. Is potentially powerful.
Didn't even think of that. Don't assume what you knew in 1.0, kids.
Who knew? So, yeah, that's the Rite of War. Shall we speak about... Oh, Jesus, they've got a massive armoury.
I know, yeah. So, Shamshir jet bikes, they
gain a jet bike with a movement of 50, firing protocols 2, hammer of wrath 1, armour save 2+, which is the big one, bringing your armour save back to 2+.
If it was worse, and mainly consoles have 2+ armour anyway, so...
Yeah. If you choose to run, you gain a shrouded 5+.
Yeah.
And you gain a scatterbolt launcher, which is a template... He's essentially a pinning shred heavy flamer.
Yes. Which is really good because you normally do that before then you assault them.
So it denies their reaction Overwatch. And this comes standard on the Golden Keshig, doesn't it?
Yes.
As their jetbike type.
Yeah. Next up, Power Glaive. It's a +1 strength, AP3, breaching 5+ melee weapon. So it's changed a little bit from the previous edition, and it's only a 5-point upgrade to a power weapon.
Yeah, so it can now be used in one. Oh, it's always used in one hand.
It's
rather
always
than having a choice of 1 or 2. For 5 points extra, you increase that breaching 6 up of a power sword to 5. Because you at initiative, so that's probably the best comparison of it.
Yeah.
And gain the +1 strength. So he's, I think, a very good weapon type.
Yes.
He's very good. I was going to say thoughts about the Ebon Keshig here, but I think we'll wait till we get to Ebon Keshig.
Yeah. Cyberhawk, 10 points, and what that gives an independent character and the unit that they've joined is you select a unit that you want to do something to that turn within 24. It's reroll of 1 to hit, and you +1 to their charge roll. Really good. It's changed a little bit from the last edition, but I think those changes, it's pinch and repeater and to pay Paul, and it pays off. It's still a decent upgrade on it, and you can take it more prevalent on a lot more stuff now.
Yeah, so it gives you that extra utility, doesn't it? Because you've got your 3 characters.
Yeah.
And all of them really should have this. For 10 points, re-rolling 1s to hit is definitely worth it.
Yeah. Means that you can get up to a +4 charge on your jet bikes. I think it's after 13 is +3, and then you get the +1 from this.
So then, Legion Consularis, Stormseer for 45 points.
Same price as a Librarian, but a lot more fluffier for the White Scars. So,
is it any difference than the Librarian in equipment choices?
No.
So it's only when it comes to psychic powers?
Yeah, so you can take Storm's Fury, we'll go into that below, Divination, Telepathy, and Thaumaturgy, and Adamantium Will 4+.
Yes. So you get the Storm's Fury Psychic Discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that contains Unseen Bolt, range 72, strength 4, AP 4, heavy 1, large blast 5 inch, barrage, shock pulse, and force.
Yeah, so
That's a little bit of the key, isn't it?
So the force means just take a psychic test. If you pass it and don't do perils, you basically double the strength of 4, so it goes up to 8. Well, strength 8 will give instant death, but on most Marines.
On most things, but say against demons
Yeah.
or, I don't know, Custodes, if you ever play a Stormseer against Custodes, it isn't doing that anymore. Does it work against tanks?
Yeah, so strength 8, barrage means you're going on the side armour.
So he's fairly good for tank hunting. Stills allow the armour saves, which is a bit of a shame, but the large blast means you can get multiple hits.
Yeah.
So someone could fail that Terminator save that you've got 4 hits on.
Yeah.
But not the best psychic power.
No, it's not the best.
It's no hallucination.
No, it's not. It's a good thing that Stormseers can take telepathy.
Then the Call of the Wind. Then
This is an interesting one. So the Stormseer has to remain still to do this in the movement phase, but any unit within 6 inches, or with at least one model within 6, gains Fleet 2. But if you take a psychic test and pass it, they gain Fleet 4. So if you've got that jet bike unit that's already got the +3, you're getting a potential +7 to your charge. Bearing in mind that means that you only have to roll a 5 on 2d6
to get the maximum distance.
Yeah, and if you've got a Cyberhawk in that unit already as well from an independent character, you're getting +1 to that charge. So you only have to get a 4 on 2d6. So it looks interesting. If you want that charge, you're going to get it. I don't know whether it's worth it with
staying still with your character. Is it worth not having deny reactions to people? I don't know.
I've yet to try it. One of the guys from the Warhammer World Weekender has been playing with it, and he says that it's amazing. Myself, though, I just find telepathy too useful.
Yeah, I think that's the position I feel it's in. Especially, if he was able to move and do that power, it would infinitely increase its usefulness.
Yeah.
But with the downside of not being able to move, he just bogs down. He either comes out of the unit and then next turn gets sniped, or bogs down a unit for a turn and then it potentially gets caught. Yeah, that is the Stormseer. We reckon take him with telepathy.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to the Golden Keshig.
Yeah.
And shout the car.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got to save the viewers till the end so they actually stay.
Oh.
Rather than just hearing about the can and going, yeah, I'll use the can.
Yeah. You're staying for my shirt, aren't you?
That is it. So the Golden Keshig, 140 points. Movement 15 because of their Shamshir jet bike.
Yeah.
They've got a Kontos Power Lance.
Yeah.
And do you want to go through the Kontos Power Lance, Pete?
Sure. So it's basically a Strength 10 AP1 lance that can do Sudden Strike +4, Brutal 3, and you only get 1 or your base attacks from it. I say base attacks because the sergeant gets, or the champion gets 2. So when you're going in and charging, if you get a successful charge, you are gaining initiative 8. You're hitting either on 4s or on 3s on most things because of your weapon skill 5. You're going in at initiative 8, hitting either on 4s or on 3s because of your weapon skill 5 on most things. You're only getting the 1 attack, but you're doing it at strength 10 AP1, and for every wound caused, they have to take 3, or they have to successfully save it 3 times.
Yeah, because of the brutal 3.
Because of the brutal 3, yeah, it's amazing.
Very good against dreadnoughts because you're definitely striking before them.
Yes.
You wounded them on 2s because of the strength 10. The brutal 3's tripling every wound.
Yeah.
And I know you're hitting dreadnoughts on 4s, but by the time you get to that dreadnought attacking, each one's an additional 40 points, so you could have for 220 points 5 of these, so they would then have 6 attacks on the charge.
Yeah.
3 of them hitting, realistically, like 3 of them, 2.8 of them wounding, and that's going to go to 9 saves on that dreadnought.
Yeah.
And then that's through the dreadnought. So they have hit and run if they do get bogged down in combat. For some reason, they've got relentless. 'Cause I'm sure they're jet bikes.
Yeah.
Relentless anyway.
Yeah.
And Hammer of Wrath 1. So how have you found using this unit?
It's the strongest unit in my army. And I would say...
Even with that, because when we initially played it in our game, because it was very early in the release of Heresy 2, the 1 attack, and this is what they suffered from last time, the 1 attack sort of hamstringed them.
Yeah, Chaplain.
Right, so Chaplain And I suppose just picking your targets for something that really utilises your brutal 3.
Yes.
Is the way to go. So you think now they are very good?
Yes.
Cool. In the no two ways about, because I won't disagree. Like, honestly, I thought they needed a buff. I think the brutal 3, having played however many games of Heresy 2 now.
Yeah.
And I mean, brutal 3 is obviously good after Heresy game 1.
In the Dreadnought meta that is, these are amazing, and it's not just for taking out Dreadnoughts. They have been great at doing other things.
Especially when you have that, I suppose, the chaplain, if he has a Thunderhammer, that magnifies the unit a lot. I know these guys can take a Thunder... Would you ever take a Thunderhammer on the champion?
I played around with it in a couple of lists, but I found that taking the power weapons and the Thunderhammer, you don't want to get bogged down. You want to get that hit and run, and when you're doing the consolidation, if you've got a character in there, you're consolidating at initiative 5. If you've got Khan in there, you're consolidating at initiative 8.
Right.
So it's getting you that little bit away, or the 3d6 from doing the hit and run. Get away, use your movement. Again, don't get stuck into prolonged combat. That's the thing with the Scars.
Would you take a power weapon or charnable weapon on these guys? Because obviously you're there in the opponent's turn, and then you hit and run in your opponent's turn to get the charge again. You never hit and run in your own turn, do you? Really?
Yeah.
Because you want to not be able to be shot at by the enemy army.
Yeah, and countercharged.
Unless, I suppose, if you hit and run in your own turn, you could, on the one turn that you use your Gone with the Wind, or Call of the Wind, or whatever
the fairy dance.
Yeah, the fairy dance. You could use that to then move 17 across the board.
Yeah, 15 for these guys, but yeah.
Does that include their +1?
Yes, it does.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, so that is Golden Keshig. Yeah. Very good. Brutal 3 is an amazing rule, and they have it in 3s.
Yeah. So from going from what I thought was the least strongest unit in version 1 to the one that I thought was the most strong.
The Ebon Keshig.
Yeah, the Ebon Keshig. So they haven't got weapon skill 5, which is the first thing I'd point out, but they have got 2 wounds. They're in
standard they've got an additional attack over standard Terminators in Leadership 10. Which is
Leadership 10 is brilliant. The additional attack is brilliant. They're stubborn, which I think is brilliant. They've got a built-in Fear No Pain, and they come with power glaives. So I used to use these to tie up enemy elite units. The fact that they haven't got the same weapon skill anymore, I would probably worry about that.
These guys can take an additional 5 Karash for 40 points each. You can upgrade to having... you can downgrade to having a Combi Bolter and Power Weapon for 5 points.
Yeah.
You can upgrade to having a Combi Bolter and Power Fist for 15 points.
Yeah.
Now, this is sort of a big difference in the unit. Is that something that you've looked at? Would you take that option?
Yeah, I originally, in 1.0, I converted up another 5 of these, but with then combi weapons as well, it gets very expensive very fast for plus 25 points on top of the 40 base points. So it would probably just be adding a little bit of power, firepower and a power fist, and there would probably be a couple of models with that just to give it the ability.
So you would take a couple of power fists, because that's essentially the question: is would you take a few power fists in this unit to double out other Terminators?
Yeah.
You are losing your other benefits by taking on other Terminators, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I suppose you can use Golden Keshig for Terminator hunting when you've whittled them down a bit with multi-melters, things like that from your normal jet bikes. So he's not really a unit that I suppose you would be hunting Terminators with when you've got those other options available.
Yeah, these guys are just veteran Space Marines that are effectively...
On a death mission.
On a death mission.
Yeah.
Tie up other units. If they kill something, great. If they don't, then just don't worry too much about it.
And you're not too bothered because they've got the crash rule that we went through before, which means they don't surrender victory points.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend taking a grenade harness with one of them, because you need those frag grenades to strike at initiative. But other than that, optional stuff. So onto this Kazagan.
Yeah, the Kazagan Assault Speeder. My second favourite unit within the Scars. Not that there's more than 3 now, because there was a 4th. Well, it is a 4th in the special rules.
Salty.
No, it is back.
So it's basically just normal speeder stats, isn't it? For its, other than the movement included.
Except for the fact that it's toughness 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got an extra toughness.
Yeah, there used to be AV12 on the front in first edition. So the leadership 9 as well, so they're better than an average Space Marine.
Right.
These are amazing gun platforms, and it makes up in Chog Bros where you haven't got that much heavy support. Firing Protocols 4 as expected, and Harbingers of the Legion, which means that they re-roll evade saves, basically the failed evade saves if they do get the chance to evade. But what they do come with is 2 Reaper autocannons, so that's twin linked, strength 7, Rendin 6, and a Carey's assault cannon, which is
range 24, strength 6.
Yeah,
AP4.
AP4, Rendin 6, yeah. And what I found really useful with the Firing Protocols 4 is as well taking 200 kilo missiles on there, because you can always fire one of those, or you can not be in range of the carries, but you can still get off 200 kilo missiles.
So yeah, I think it's a really nice unit for Scars. The toughness 7 definitely makes it more.
Yeah, it's a movement
more usable than
movement
Javelin
15.
Now.
Movement 15, toughness 7, Dreadnought effectively.
I suppose, yeah.
105 points, and you can take up to 3 of them. But yeah, I've always found these.
So then on to Qin Xa.
Yes.
Who is the master of the Keshig, chosen of the Kazagan.
Yeah. I've played him a couple of times. I played him with Henry on Friday night as well. He's a souped up preator, effectively. And I played him against Phil on the channel, one of the other videos. Yeah. You can see here, down the notes.
In the playlists.
He's counterattack 2, so if you're charging him and his unit, they're not taking any. They're not pulling any punches.
So he's actually getting more bonus by you charging him than by him charging you.
Yeah.
Except for the Furious Charge, which puts him at potentially strength 8 at AP2 with his unwieldy Split the Mountain.
Yeah.
And then he's got part the horse's mane, which will be strength 6 on the charge, strength 5 all the rest of the time at AP2, with precision strikes 3+, which is quite nice.
You're hitting on 3-ups anyway normally.
Yeah.
So with his weapon skill 6.
Yeah, other than against other Praetors, which are weapon skill 6.
Yeah. So you're going to be choosing out, the sergeant. You're going to be choosing out an apothecary. You're going to be choosing a vexilla if somebody's paid for one of those.
Yeah. And he allows a Tartarus command squad to take a power glaive for 5 points each. And I think he's a really solid character for between his warlord trait of deep strike assault, outflanking assault.
He basically the Khan's got a very similar rule that they basically get to choose what turn that assault comes in on, that reserve assault comes in on, rather than rolling for it.
Yeah, and that's a single already eligible unit that is within there. I think he's very good. He gets the ability to, obviously, instant death people, but only on the charge. So I suppose that's a negative, and you don't really want him to get charged by Terminators, because he's not instant deathing those.
Yeah.
But against anyone else that might take less doubling out to kill them, you don't mind if they charge you, because you're actually getting more attacks. So he's a very solid character, and one that I think White Scars players will be taking. It's not something to complain about, this guy. Especially with that big stack of generic special rules. He's almost got no special rules of his own, really.
Yeah.
And he's got this big stack of his own special rules. So then we go on to Jagatai Khan. So do you want to give us the full spiel about Jagatai Khan?
A Primarch that can move 18 inches across the board and, charge after that. So job done.
Yeah, so his weapon skill 7 is one of the things. And he was never in version 1 like one of the hittiest characters.
No.
As much as there's bits of fluff about all the Primarchs with the mooking other Primarchs.
They're all the best,
but,
they could all do each other over,
Yeah, but he's written as one of the best swordsmen at least.
Yeah.
And I'm never unhappy when it specifies what type of combat. It could say he might be the best swordsman, but if someone during the sword fight punched him in the face like Loken and Lucius, I'm quite happy with it. You can be the best swordsman.
Yeah.
So I do find it quite weird that he's weapon skill 7.
Wasn't Purty weapon skill 8 in version 1?
Yeah, but he beats up Angron.
Yeah.
He takes on Demon Angron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Khan has Hit and Run, Crusader, Pathfinder, move through cover, lightning from blue skies. He's a loyalist, obviously. And Sire of the White Scars, and he can take his jet bike for 25 points that gives him +1 wound and movement 18.
Yeah.
Which is
immense.
Insane.
Yeah. No model yet, but a few people have converted them, and for the event that we just went to, because I wanted to take the Khan on the bike rather than do an outflanking action, I mounted a old Samael speeder on his scenic base.
Yeah, so you can see that in the game that will be coming up between Pete and James, that they're using their armies that they played at Warhammer World.
Yeah.
He has Sire of the White Scars, which gives all infantry and cavalry models with the Legion Astartes White Scars.
Furious Charge 1.
Yeah, Furious Charge 1.
You get an additional reaction in the movement phase.
So that allows you to do your advanced reaction, it allows you to dance away from people, as is a very White Scars thing. I think it fits in quite well. The Furious Charge 1's really nice as an army-wide buff.
Means that Ebon Keshig are charging with strength 11.
What was that being sick, James?
So the Khan on the charge as well. So, we'll go through his stuff. So he's got a 2-up armor save and a 4-up invulnerable doing shooting, but 3-up in both movement and assault phase. Then, similar to Qin Xa, he can declare when he wants the reserve outflanking action to come in on. Doesn't have to roll for it. It doesn't apply to deep strike, drop assault, or subterranean assault, and it has to include the Khan.
Yes, and then so that's actually worse than Qin Xa's, because it has to include the Khan. So he's not coming in then until turn 2.
Yeah.
When really just start him on the table.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be a massive amount of use for that particular variation of the rule.
Yeah.
Because he's moving 18 inches if he's on a jet bike, just moving forwards and charging the first turn.
As I said, the three UK-based White Scars players that went to the event, we all knew what we were taking, so we all modified our lists to kind of like not do something that the other had done. And Phil from down London, he actually had the Khan coming in from outflank with infantry.
Right,
so
okay.
He was using him like that. Yeah.
But still, that's a rarity case rather than what he's good at.
Yeah.
So then he's got the Storm's Voice pistol, which is Strength 6, AP 4, Pistol 2, Rending 5, D-Flag, Concussive 1, Mastercrafted. So he does seem like White Scars players have to remember a lot of special rules rather than having an initial good stat line on their stuff.
Yeah.
Like with Qin Xa, with his massive stack of rules.
Yeah. It's good for sniping out the Vexilla, the Vox.
The Vexilla needs to go, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see how that can be a key priority
The
target.
Sergeant.
So then he's got the White Tiger Dow, which is +1 strength, making him strength 7, essentially base. AP 2. Julius Edge 1, Furious Charge 2, which stacks with his Warlord, Sire of the White Scars, giving him Furious Charge 1, so he becomes Furious Charge 3 and therefore strength 10
on the charge. Yeah.
Murderous Strike 5+ for when you're not on the charge and striking it.
Yeah.
Strength 10. And Mastercrafted. Because it doesn't have specialist weapon and he's got a pistol, he will then be 7 attacks and therefore 8 on the charge, obviously, at strength 10. Which is a very solid stat line for a character that can take a movement 18 jet bike.
And you've got to be able to hit on 3s to start off with on most things. Well, you're hitting on 4s against other Primarchs or 5s in some cases, but you've got to roll the 3s, which I seem to be incapable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's a very good stat line.
Yeah.
How do you think, in your experience, he's racked up against other Primarchs?
I've only ever put him in against Alferis at the Weekender, and he mullered Alferis, if it was Alferis.
If it was. I think, however, everyone can agree with you that he's probably better than Alferis.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to wait for more data to come out before you make a judgment.
Yeah, he's probably about average. I don't think he's going to be, the best there, and I don't expect him to be. His movement is, and the point is that he decides where he wants to be.
Well, he's a great utility Primarch, isn't he? And he's got hit and run, so every turn, he can pretty much charge every turn, so long as they don't deploy within 4 inches of the back of their deployment zone, or however much it is from the back.
Yeah.
So for 6 turns of the game, he can potentially be charging. And And that just makes him such a great utility Primarch
Yeah.
to just gank people with for 6 turns of the game. When other Primarchs fall down at, say, like, movement 6 or 7, like Perturabo, and can only gank people for, say, like, 4 turns of the game.
After getting out the Spartan party bus.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So it magnifies the points cost by more than the 25 that Jagatai is increased by for his jet bike.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend every White Scars player to be putting him on that jet bike.
Yeah.
It's just so much utility for that 25 points, +1 toughness. Or +1 wound, sorry, not +1 toughness.
Yeah. I've been mainly using... Well, he's taken out 3 Leviathans over the course of the weekend that I was there. He was just going in and smashing them.
Yeah, so I think with the fact that he doesn't have brutal anything, makes him a bit more of a wild card on the Dreadnoughts. They might just turn... If he doesn't get all of those attacks through, and they've got, 6 wounds, they might just turn around and smash him.
Yeah.
But he does have that option, especially with, a couple of... Say you have him with a couple of Golden Keshig. The fact that he's so high initiative...
And they are.
And they're going with their reach.
Yeah.
He's going to be such a force multiplier for that Golden Keshig that the entire army will synergize so much better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that is it for our White Scars review.
Yeah. Not they're terrible.
Completely unusable.
Yeah.
Yeah, every White Scars army, as you've seen demonstrated throughout this entire thing, they're just unusable.
Yeah, jet bikes are terrible, Outriders are terrible, the Scars, but they're just +1 movement, is terrible.
Yeah, and I think that's all from us.
Yeah.
And James, do you want to chip in anything? White Scars are the worst.
Broken.
And we'll see you guys in a bit.